It's May 2018, and if usual schedules are to be considered, LG's 2018 flagship is running late. Not that that's a bad thing. In fact, time may be exactly what LG needs. Time to iron out kinks, time to improve on features, and time to deliver a superior product. So, is the LG G7 ThinQ worth the wait? Hi, I'm Michael Josh, and you're watching GadgetMatch. This is our LG G7 ThinQ Hands-On. Meet the new LG G7 ThinQ, successor to last year's G6. The additional ThinQ branding may be a mouthful, but it's not without purpose. We'll dive more into that later. In terms of design, you'll find that the G7 looks just like the V30 from late last year. And that's a good thing. It's one of LG's most refined designs so far. A combination of glass and metal with soft, rounded sides that give you a good, comfy grip. This is what it looks like side by side with the G6. Notice the G7 is taller. It's got a larger 6.1-inch display, even if it's not significantly larger. Up front, it's all display. And yep, it's 2018, so there's a notch. If the notch is not your thing though, you can turn it off, filling that section with a black bar instead. We like that you can even go in and adjust how rounded the slope of the top corners. You can also fill the space with trippy colors if that's your cup of tea. Unlike the V30, the G7's got an LCD, not an OLED display, but it's one of their brightest displays yet, which means even outdoors when the sun is really bright, you can still see what's on your phone. This video doesn't do it justice, by the way. It looks much better in person. Earlier this year at CES, LG announced its artificial intelligence platform called ThinQ, built into its lineup of consumer appliances. LG says the G7 represents the final piece of the ThinQ puzzle. To reinforce its commitment to the AI space, the G7 comes with its own dedicated AI button, specifically for launching Google Assistant. Press once and it launches Google Assistant so you can just speak out commands. Press twice and it will launch Google Lens so you can scan objects in the real world. Now, this isn't the first time that we've seen a dedicated AI button on a smartphone. Samsung also has a dedicated button for Bixby on the S8 and the S9, but we like that LG is not trying to reinvent the wheel here. Instead, they're harnessing the power of Google Assistant. Now, you can't go in and remap or reprogram that button, which is a shame because that may have been a killer feature. We would have also loved if they gave us the option to pick our personal assistant of choice, say Amazon Alexa over Google Assistant. If you have any privacy concerns, LG assures all of your data is stored on the device and not on the cloud. Also, it's committing to regular AI pack updates, which means your phone can get new features as soon as they're rolled out, as long as your hardware supports it. Similar to what we saw on the V30 Plus ThinQ last February, the camera on the G7 ThinQ will also have AI built in. That takes the manual guesswork out of taking photos. It can now detect 18 objects and scenes, up from 9 on the V30 Plus ThinQ. This is how it works. Point your camera at an object. In this example, you can see it knows I'm shooting an apple close up, and it gives me 4 filter options to choose from. You can pick one, or just ignore the AI's recommendations completely. Compared to last year's models, the cameras are much improved with a newer and better sensor that shoots better low-light photos. It's still got the second wide-angle camera that we love so much about LG smartphones, but this time, regardless of what mode you choose, there are no compromises, as both shoot at 16 megapixels. The good news is that the selfie camera has finally been improved, fixing one of our biggest complaints about the V30. And if you like shooting selfies or portraits, both cameras now have portrait mode. The selfie camera uses facial recognition to measure depth, while the main camera uses its second camera. In our tests with non-final software, cutouts were already very accurate. It's also worth pointing out that unlike the iPhone, which zooms in on subjects when you're shooting in portrait mode, the G7 keeps the frame as is, which we like. Take a look at other sample photos. Again, do take note that these were shot on pre-retail software. Another area where LG smartphones excel is audio. Last year's G6 had quad DAC support. That's been improved this year, paired with a super loud boombox speaker. It's still not stereo, instead sound fires from the grills on the bottom of the phone. LG says it's using the space inside the phone to create a resonance chamber. The resulting sound is crisp and loud. There's also now support for DTX, for virtual surround sound when watching movies. Speaking of quad DAC, last year on the G6, only Asian versions of the G6 had that feature, while North American users got wireless charging. Now, regardless of where you are in the world, you get both. And that's the theme with the G7 ThinQ. The phone does not compromise on specs, including a top-of-the-line Snapdragon 845 processor. It's got a fingerprint sensor on the back of the phone with pretty reasonable unlock times. It's still got a headphone jack and IP68 water and dust resistance. The LG G7 will come in 4 colors: Moroccan blue, Aurora black, platinum gray, and raspberry rose. Prices will differ depending on the region, but LG promises it will retail for less than the V30 and closer to last year's G6 pricing. So, is the LG G7 ThinQ your gadget match? Of course, for sure, it's too early to tell, but it's safe to say that LG's built a great smartphone, one that they can be proud of, and one that you will enjoy using. We particularly like LG's approach to an ecosystem of AI devices. They make a lot of these home appliances themselves, so they're in a unique position to provide tighter integration, but also at the same time, because they're embracing this open approach, you're not locked into a single platform. There's a lot of promise here, and that's exciting. We're working on a review, so let us know what you'd like us to feature and which questions you'd like answered. Until then, as always, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, follow GadgetMatch on social media, and make GadgetMatch.com your daily habit. From here in San Francisco, I'm Michael Josh. Thanks for dropping by.